Hello, Packers fans. Welcome into PackersNews.com. I'm Kassidy Hill, joined by Ryan Wood here in Lambeau Field. I know it might be a little confusing considering there is a Saints banner behind us.
They came marching in.
They did. Good reference.
You're
good
welcome
reference.
for
Are you
that.
going to sing it?
My dad jokes are off the charts today. I don't know what it is. You were there for the Jordan Love.
Oh my
moment,
God!
right?
I wish I had uploaded that video. It was so.
I have very few redeeming qualities, but one of those is that I feel no shame, and I will just dad joke anyone. And if it bombs, and it bombed. I don't know if I've ever had a dad joke bomb so bad I did with Jordan. He's like over. I'm like, you win some, you lose some. They're not all going to hit.
For context, someone asked Jordan Love if he was, pun intended, feeling the love from Packers fans more this offseason. And he said yes, and he complimented the fans. And Ryan here said, "Are you giving them a 10?
You just give him a perfect 10.
Jersey number."
Thought it made sense.
A joke is really good when you have to explain it. Anyways, let's get back on track. Football. Randy says, "How's it going, Kassidy?" And Ryan, it's going pretty good, Randy. It was a hot one today.
Air conditioning.
And we are in the air conditioning, so it's much better. As we said, there's a Saints banner behind us because if you didn't know, or just for an update,
they came marching in.
I wonder how many more times you're going to make that joke.
Not enough. not nearly enough.
The Packers had 2 joint practices this week with the New Orleans Saints. They will play them on Friday night. And it was a really good litmus test for this team, Ryan. I mean, you see in preseason games, the ones don't always play. A lot of what's in the coach's playbook and what they can do with that offense and defense is held back. But in joint practices, your ones are going to always take snaps. You end up showing a little bit more maybe than you would in a game. That could, I guess, be up for debate, that part of it. But a good litmus test the past 2 days for the Packers.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that they're showing more schematically on this practice field in the joint sessions than they're going to show in preseason, where it's all filmed, right? I mean, they lock everything down. Some of it gets out because of the fans, but yes, they're showing more schematics. And, I thought that both defenses were ahead of the offenses. The Packers defense was salty. 2 days. I watched Packers offense day one, Packers defense today. And from the very start today, sack. It was just off the charts. They did stalemate in a red zone, but both the starting defense and the starting and the backup defense gave up 0 in the 2-minute drill both days. That Packers defense is really good. The depth is a question, but at the top line, it's really good. And you saw that against the Saints. You saw the Packers offense make some plays, but the Saints defense certainly got the better of the 2 days. Aaron Rodgers said it was a stalemate. It was. I thought the Packers starting offense has looked better against this Packers starting defense by far than the Saints starting offense did against the Packers starting defense in these joint sessions. Now, keep in mind, they have Andy Dalton, not Jameis Winston, which is their starting quarterback. They also Jameis Winston's not Aaron Rodgers. And it's different when you're going against your own scheme that you know better than going against someone else. But as a whole, I thought it was a productive couple days.
Matt LaFleur said something pretty interesting this morning. He said, when I was looking back on our defensive tape, the Saints ran a couple of route combinations our defense has not seen before. And then he kind of stopped and laughed. He said, I may steal a couple of them because that's this league. So like we said, it was a really good test for both the offense and the defense. This defense can be what we think it will be.
I think it's going to be nasty if they stay healthy. That's the big, put an asterisk there. If it's all caps, if they stay healthy. I will say, though, I think that you're starting to see some depth matriculate a little bit. I mean, Vernon Scott has seemed to take hold of the third safety. I think Sean Davis, as a fourth safety, has had some decent plays. I asked him today, do you want to be called Kingsley or JJ? And he said, I don't care. So however you want to call him, Kingsley or JJ Enigbare, has been a different guy as the 5th-round rookie in the past week of camp than he was in the first 2 weeks. I talked to him today. He said his rush track, the ability to play off the tackle more, and just his footwork and his steps off the line are things that he adjusted. He went back and tweaked that. And he's been, so you talk about, after Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith getting depth at outside linebacker, he's shown some things. They have to show more, but I do think that you're starting to see some depth there.
If he keeps playing like he has been in camp, we'll call him sack master or something.
There you go.
You mentioned Rashawn Gary. A question here from Steve, was Gary back out there today? Matt LaFleur said this morning that Gary coming out of practice on Tuesday was purely precautionary.
Yeah.
No cause for worries.
He was back out there, and he had a sack very early in the first team session. Him and Preston Smith met at Andy Dalton, and we want to see that a lot. He's really good.
Yeah.
I know that's really in-depth analysis for you, but he's really
good. He is good at the game of American football.
Sure is.
Let's hop to the offensive side of the ball, which there is a lot more to talk about, maybe not in such a good way, but a lot of questions coming in about the offensive side of the ball as well. Let's just start with this one right here from LV. Is that 5? I'm going to call you LV. LJ. Just kidding.
LJ. Do you have blurry vision?
I do. It's really bad.
Oh, man.
If I took my glasses off, I wouldn't be able to see anything.
I'm the same way with contacts.
LJ asked, will Jenkins be ready for the opener? Elton Jenkins has been working with the offensive line this week after being elevated off the PUP on Sunday, but he hasn't really done full team drills yet. We've actually seen Bobby Tunyon and Christian Watson go through like slow team drills, but not Elton Jenkins yet. But he has been a full participant in all offensive line drills. How encouraging is that, Ryan?
I think the encouraging part is that he came back and was activated off PUP exactly 4 weeks before opening the season in Minnesota. 4 weeks is a heck of a runway. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of time. So you ask me now, yeah, I think that he will be. Now, a lot can happen in 4 weeks. He can't have, if there's a setback, we don't know. It could happen. So it's, of course, we don't really know, but my guess would be yes, that he'll be able to go.
That, of course, naturally leads to this question from Mike. What's the deal with David? Will he play this year or sit out again?
There we go. Both hands. That's me. I don't know. Until he's back, and this is kind of how the league works. Out of sight, out of mind. And that's, until you're back, you're not back. And we'll just have to see. And then the question is, how is he back, right? Mm-hmm. Is he David Bakhtiari? Is he some other version of himself? Does he compensate for that? What does he have to compensate for? There's a whole bunch of questions that we just don't know, but they're not going to be answered until we actually see him not rehabbing on the sideline. And when that happens, if we knew the answer to that, we'd be in Vegas.
I don't even think David Bakhtiari knows the answer to that based on everything he said. That there is no timeline or even a hint of a timeline, it seems like. So he could be back tomorrow or he could be back in 2023. Don't take that for gospel. Ron with the question of the day, which is kind of what a lot of the Packers were asking as well. How did our rookie receivers do today? Just to provide some context, they did not have a good day on Tuesday, and Aaron Rodgers stood in his locker pulpit and called them out and challenged them publicly. Then he did it again privately this morning. There was a meeting with the receivers. They were told to be here for an early morning film session with Rodgers, which is not something they usually do. And Rodgers really challenged them. And, Samori Toure said, when your quarterback tells you to rise to the occasion, you better do it.
Yeah, and they did. You look at Samori Toure had the bomb, the play of the day, the 50 yard from midfield, the touchdown on a deep corner in 2-minute drill. And then he caught the 2-point conversion, which there was some. I still don't know why I saw Ishmael Hyman catch that ball.
Several of us saw him catch.
Yeah, it wasn't, but it was. I went up to Samori Toure after, and I was like, "These eyes, man, I'm old. Did you catch the?" And he's like, "Yeah, that was me on the 2 points." So it was him. So he had the bomb, and then he had the 2-point conversion. The play before that bomb, the play before the 50-yarder, Amari Rodgers caught a ball 19 yards in the middle of the field to set up the touchdown. And then the drill before, the 2-minute with the starting offense, Romeo Doubs had 2 catches for, I got to do math in my head. What's 7 plus 11? 18 yards. 18. So 2 catches for 18 yards. So all 3 of them came back today and had moments. Romeo Doubs also, I saw him, I was watching defense, but I caught the last red zone drill, and he had a touchdown from Jordan Love on a left out route, and looked like just streaking across the field, really good speed. So all 3 of those guys had better days today. They responded.
Mm-hmm. And that was big for them, because that was really sort of the question, and it's always the question with rookies, how are you going to respond when things get hard? Romeo Doubs told me today it's a lesson you have to learn as a rookie, because we're all coming from a place where we were the best player on our team probably. And now we're here and we're having to relearn how to go through a hard day, is essentially what he said. And that was what yesterday really was. And again, today, I think you could argue the Saints defense still won against the Packers offense, but a much, much better showing, especially from those young receivers.
The Packers offense made more plays the past 2 days against the Saints defense than the Saints offense did against the Packers defense. Take for what you, I mean,
that's a win usually.
One of those teams have Aaron Rodgers, so you kind of expect it over Andy Dalton, but still, that's a good sign.
Yeah. This is a really good question from Nick off of that subject. Based on Rodgers' frustrations, do you think they will bring in a veteran receiver? Given the season is 3 weeks away.
I do not think that. It's not to say that they won't, because thinking and knowing are two different things. Ask Webster. But no, I do not think that will happen.
With that in mind, Levi asks, are Dobbs drops something to worry about?
If they continue, right? It's stunning, because until San Francisco, we hadn't seen that. He's such a natural hands catcher. He doesn't let the ball get into his body. He's got strong hands, soft hands. It hits there and sticks there. So we hadn't seen that. And then, the bad play yesterday for him was he toasted, who was it, Bradley Roby, I think.
Yes.
He toasted Bradley Roby off the right sideline, just left him in off coverage, ran past him, which, by the way, that 4.5 flat 40 that he was knocked for before the draft has not been an issue. Dude's got speed, and he's wide open, and Aaron Rodgers puts it right here, and could not ask for a better ball. I asked Aaron Rodgers about it afterward. He said, "Best throw I made all day." He didn't catch it, and so yeah, it's an issue if it continues. I don't think, though. Look, Devontae Adams was once called Drop Vontae Adams in 2015. You remember. Then he became a potential Hall of Fame receiver. Young guys, that the game is swirling in their mind. There's a lot that they're absorbing. Sometimes you see the hands get a little inconsistent when they're thinking about not just their, not even the route, the depth, how to beat this man off the line of scrimmage. You're playing an NFL corner for the first time, but then you add the run scheme on top of that. Then you're adding, 3 different receiver positions that you're learning at one time. There's a lot that they're absorbing at once. Sometimes the hands get a little faulty. Long term, I'm not. I think he's looked like a player.
Almost like when you're taking in so much else and focusing on something else, you get the yips with the easiest thing.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Another good question here with the receivers from Heidi. You're hearing so much about our wide receivers. Why is there nothing being said about Cobb? I think if I had to insert an opinion, and I'm going to go to you here too, Ryan, you know who Randall Cobb is at this point. You know what you're going to get with him, and that's a solid, reliable veteran, really, really knowledgeable, which is the biggest thing he brings to this unit right now. Is there anything else we need to say about Randall Cobb?
He hasn't made a lot of splash plays. Just a fact. I mean, he hasn't made a lot of splash plays. Sammy Watkins had a couple really good days, especially yesterday. I didn't watch as much offense today, but
he needed those.
Yeah, he needed those, but he had a couple. He made splash plays. So you heard a little bit about Sammy Watkins when you hadn't been hearing about him. Allen Lazard's been Allen Lazard. Romeo Dobbs has made splash plays. Samari Torrey has made splash plays. Randall Cobb has not been making splash plays, and not to oversimplify it, but when you're on the sideline at training camp, you're looking for guys that splash, and and that's because what Randall Cobb is, he's not here necessarily to make splash plays. He's here to be that veteran presence, the conduit between Aaron Rodgers and a very young receiving core, right. A security blanket for a quarterback in clutch situations, third down. That's what he's here to do. He's not necessarily here to make the splash plays, but that's why you haven't heard about him.
Let's wrap up on the offense here with this question from Randy. Is there any news on Watson and Big Bob Tunyon? Or as we're now calling him, Big Daddy T.
Are we? As she's now calling him, Big Daddy T.
I think
don't group me in there.
I think you walked up on that conversation the other day in the locker room, because I was asking him, "What do you like to be called?" Because everybody calls him something different, and I was like, "Are you Robert? Are you Bobby? Like, what do you want us to call you?" And he said, "Well, my dad and my granddad are Robert. It's easier in the locker room to call me Bobby. You can just call me whatever you want." I was like, okay, so like Robert, Rob, Bobby, Bob, Big Daddy T. I thought it was
author
funny.
of the Man Bun. Actually, George Kittle.
And our new intern.
That's true.
That's true. He was our intern.
He helps you. He not that you're short, but you're not as tall as Robert Tunyon. Look at that. What is this, 2017?
He got onto you.
Robert Tunyon. I've been so good with that last couple of years too. Robert, you're not as tall as Robert Tunyon. Few are, and he was your Periscope.
He was is a good first day for an intern. We'll see how he does moving forward. All of that to say, none of that has to do with what he can do on a football field. He and Watson have been, like we said, working back in slowly in team drills and individual drills as well. Do you see them being ready for the season opener?
I think so, especially Christian Watson. I think he
it's
fielded
a much lesser injury.
He fielded a couple punts today, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, I would think that if you come back a month before, the likelihood is that you will be back. Now, what did we see from David Bakhtiari last year? He literally came back to practice, then shut it down, had to have another knee surgery. So you don't ever know when there's going to be a setback. He came back for 27 snaps after that knee injury. The Packers thought he was good to go for the playoffs. He shut it down again. So you don't really know, but yeah, giving you 4 weeks, pretty good likelihood that you're going to be able to play.
We're going to take a couple of final questions here before we sign off. Let's hop back to the defense real quick. Levi asked, do we still need edge depth here?
Yes, they do, for sure. They need edge depth, secondary depth, corner and safety. You could say, I think that the middle of their defensive line is very deep. Mm-hmm. Chris Barnes had a really good day today for the defense. Like the first 10 minutes, he had a tackle for loss, a PBU, and a sack on a blitz. He's played a lot of football. And, there's a lot of talk, rightly so, about Devondre Campbell coming off an all-pro year and Quay Walker, who was an athletic freak and a first-round pick as a rookie. But Chris Barnes played a lot of football, so they got depth there. But, that third safety, fourth corner, that third, fourth, and fifth outside linebacker, there's a lot of Aaron Rodgers used the word opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities up for grabs there.
Final question here from Mike. It's not really a question so much as a statement. I hope our main guys stay out in the preseason. Love needs to show if he's a long-term or short-term quarterback. Ryan, agree or disagree?
Well, I don't know what one necessarily has to do with the other. If you want to get your best evaluation of a quarterback, you want the best pieces around him, get the best evaluation that you can. But, so as far as the main guys, they're not going to play a lot Friday against the Saints. The question is, how much are they going to play against Kansas City? It sounds like that's a very real possibility. We will ask Matt LaFleur after this second preseason game about that. As far as Jordan Love, he's got to continue doing what he's doing. He's had a very fine camp for himself. He played just fine. He was just fine. The 3 picks, only half of those were on him. The third one, the ball didn't need to go there, even though it was a terrible wrap by Amari Rodgers. Didn't need to throw it there. But the first 2 were not on him at all. And so he made the plays that were there. He didn't miss the layup to Romeo Doubs. I thought he had a fine back shoulder throw to Danny Davis, who was out today with an ankle injury, by the way. He's just got to continue doing that. Aaron Rodgers said the one thing he wants to see Jordan Love continue to work on is the play extensions. And I think that Jordan Love's been more comfortable extending the play outside the pocket than you saw the first 2 years, which isn't saying a lot because there was almost non-existent the first 2 years. There's been some of that, but he still has some improvement to go, and that's how you stay on schedule. Even if it's a 3 or 4 yard tuck and scramble and slide, that's how you stay on schedule down in distance. Those are important yards. Getting more comfortable with that is an area for him to grow, but his timing, his footwork, when it's on schedule, he's been letting it rip like we've never seen the first 2 years. He's just got to continue doing that.
Danny Davis, as well as Rico Gafford, out with an ankle today. Correct. Just for some housekeeping news. And Malik Taylor was released, the wide receiver. And I believe they signed someone.
Safety, number 35. His last name's Cross. His first name starts with a D. That's about all I can get off the top of my head.
There's players are coming and going right now. And I actually lied. There are 2 good questions in here, but let's just yes or no. We'll do yes or no quick ones. Will Christian Watkins play against New Orleans on Friday?
No.
I didn't think so either. Was the Tyler Davis hype silly talk from Guten Matt now, or are there better days to come?
Maybe. That's not a yes.
Good answer. I'll take it. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We have a full day of coordinators, I believe, tomorrow. So
we do.
Yeah, and Brian Godekest as well. So probably get some more information and insight into some of the roster moves that were made. And then Friday night here at Lambeau against the New Orleans Saints for the only preseason game that's at Lambeau this year.
I'm going to get all jacked up on Mountain Dew or Mellow Yellow. That's what they have here.
And maybe some gumbo or something to celebrate
wow,
the Saints
man.
game
See,
here.
if they were in New Orleans, I don't know if I want Green Bay gumbo.
I'll make it. It'll be good.
Okay. You're from the South. You know how to do it.
I can make some gumbo.
Are you going to bring it? I just put her on the spot.
I'm going to look like Kevin from The Office coming in with the pot.
Don't drop the chili. Do not do that.
Drop it everywhere. That'd be my luck. I dropped another coffee on the way to practice today. That's like the second or third.
Did you really? Again?
Practice.
Oh my goodness.
On those days, I really just want to go home and go.
Romeo Dobbs' drops are okay, but Kassidy's drops you might have to worry about.
And they just fall out of my hand. I don't know what happens. Anyways, like I said, we'll be here on Friday to cover the preseason game for you against the New Orleans Saints. Make sure you stick to PackersNews.com for full coverage as we wrap up their week of joint practices and really training camp, because from here on out, we're moving into regular practices. So an exciting time here in Green Bay. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, guys.